September 18, 2015, a Friday morning, and the sun rises slowly in the east. We've survived another very, very bitter cold evening here on the South Australian, West Australian border. I'm back in WA, Larry's in South Australia. Well, I was just thinking to myself, I don't know how many WA South Australia border crossings that I've come across, from way up to the north there to way down to the south there, where we're going to go this afternoon actually. We're going to follow the border all the way down to Eucla. But this is another, this is of course on the Trans-Australia rail line, and not many people get out and see it, do they? Okie dokie, this is Deakin. This is about 4 kilometres back inside Western Australia, and this is where we turn away from the rail line and its associated delights and head south to the bustling metropolis of Eucla and all its first world delights. About 100 kilometres away. I was just talking to my mum on the phone. I was describing to her, other than the fact we're still amazed that we get phone reception out here, what I was looking at, what I was doing, and she says, oh, it sounds scary. It is when you think about it. In every direction, there's not one single tree. It's completely flat, and we're out here right in the middle of it. But we're okay, but it sounds, certainly to other people, it would sound pretty drastic. Anyways, what else would you rather be doing at 9:30 on a Friday morning? Beats the shit out of working, I'm here to tell you. Keep zigzagging for whatever reason. We can't trying to figure out why. And I'm now in South Australia, but apparently right about here, Dad, because he's got his GPS, I'm now back in Western Australia. So I don't know what's going on. It's you'd think they just sent us straight down the middle, wouldn't you? But we're going left and right. Anyway, we haven't got any other option other than to follow it. Well, that's the way we've come. We've pulled off into this rest area. And that's the track over there. It's the Lorry Kiwawite rest area because he's just made it one.
That's the Deakin Eucla Expressway.
Yeah, that's it. I'm about to have one of BB's boiled eggs for morning tea. Well, the first time this trip, but not the first time in our bush adventures. We've come across a camel, and what they do is that they run in the middle of the bloody road trying to get away from you because they haven't got many brains. They are very proud animals. Anyway, Larry spotted correctly camel droppings on the road just before, so I thought, well, it can't be too far away, and there he is. Yeah, I don't know what he's doing on his own. It's a strange one, but the Afghans have got a lot to answer for.
There's only about 1 million or just over 1 million of them running around the country now.
As Larry has just suggested, we've probably just come out of the actual Nullarbor itself, and we're in the Hampton tablelands. There's a few trees which are showing up, and they're a welcome sight, I can tell you right now. very good. We came across a whole herd of camels, but they were about a kilometre off to the east. As we've drifted in and out of South Australia and Western Australia the whole way down here. We're about 30 kilometres north of Eucla, so we're getting there. 25 past 11. Suddenly we're in around Australia style stuff. Around Australia trial, should I say. Rally type things. Left and right, trees everywhere. And now as soon as I put the camera on, the road opens up. Brilliant fun, no rocks. And we hope, well Dad's leading, but we hope no one around these blind corners coming this way, but I very much doubt that there would be. We have not seen, literally have not seen any other travellers.
This is the worst bit of road we've had all day.
He's up ahead a little bit because of the dust. I'll let him go. We've not seen any other travellers since Kalgoorlie. Only staff either at Forest or on the train. Yeah, I spoke too soon. Looks like it's going to get very rocky again. The countryside's interesting though. You're going to be like this. Shit. Poor old thing. Alright, I'm through it. Now we're cooking again. And here we are. The air highway. Jesus. All of a sudden I'm in the thick of it. Used to big trucks and that again. Look at that, other people. I think I've broken a shock. I knew the poor old girl was copping an absolute fucking hiding, and sure enough, both shock towers are gone. Both of them. Oh, jeez, bloody Christ. Well, there's nothing I can do about the shocks at the moment. Just got to put up with it. $1.66 for diesel. Look at the poor old thing. Oh well, that's what it's for. That's why we're out here. Eucla Pass and the great Southern Ocean. Ye old Eucla telegraph station, which on various times has been almost completely covered over with the sand dunes. Well, we went looking for the Eucla Old Town, which no longer exists, and I've missed a turn on the way back, so I'm heading towards the air highway. Dad's going a different way again, so I get to go up the old pass, the old Eucla Pass. One for the old days. It sure is a weird feeling being on the blacktop again. That was the Wallopers that just went past me. I thought they were going to turn around, so I slowed down just in case. Like I did too, because the speed limit was just about to change to 90. This is the Eucla Pass. Oh dear, these shocks is a bit of a worry. I can drive it no problems on the blacktop like this, but it's just the rough stuff. I don't know, we have to make a few phone calls tonight. Back in the day, oh crikey, it's as bad as being on a bloody highway. Back in the day, this was the servo, the only accommodation. When I came through here in 1990, this was the old roadhouse here, and this was where the pumps were. That's where I filled the Datmobile up. And now the new part over there didn't exist. So yes, so we'll have a look at Ayers on Memorial, eh? They certainly did. I just read the book. Geez, he was a hard nut, that Ayer. Nice bloke apparently, but tough as nails. 5 PM. This is our convivial little inn for this evening. Quite a large shower area, which is just as well considering there's 2 kibble lights here. The big man here has been on his computer for the last 3 hours getting all sorts of good stuff done. We've got a view of the ocean view here, straight through the trees. Yeah. The pub's just up there. We're going for there for a look shortly. And yours truly is drinking some Promised Land Cab Merlot out of an enamel tin cup, because that's the way we do things out here in the Nullarbor. Cheers. Saturday, September 19, 2015, on the day of my niece Adelaide's birth. We've left Eucla and we're heading east into South Australia via the border village. Welcome to South Aussie for the 15th time on this trip. Probably more than that. Probably more than 15. Alrighty, what are we doing here? We are heading for Ceduna. It's 479. Whether we get there or not, I do not know. We obviously have the broken shocks in the front of this old thing, and we've decided against hitting the rough stuff again because, well, it'd break the shock towers, let's be honest, and the assembly in there. So we've got to get it fixed. So we've got to do 491 kilometres from Eucla to Ceduna to get it fixed on Monday morning and then head back out into the bush. It's not what we planned, obviously, but you've got to cope with these things as they're thrown. Anyway, as I said earlier, my niece Adelaide was born at 14 minutes past midnight this morning, and we're all very excited about that. Nullarbor Plain, western end of Treeless Plain.
The highway right alongside of us, about 70 or 80 metres in.
Talking about the old air highway, which is where we should be. This is Nullarbor. We should have approached this from the bush, the old air highway, which is just to the north. But obviously we didn't, because of my shock absorbers. It's the 8th time that I've been to the good old Nullars Roadhouse. It's always a welcome sight, depending on how tough you're doing it. First time I was in a 180B Datsun. Anyways, I'll just ask the old man where he wants to go. Where do you want to park here?
Wherever you want it, mate. Yep.
Okay. Under the shade is where I want to park. Tuna sandwich for lunch as usual at the moment. So where you get there's a pub at the end there. Showers. Ah yes. Time to do some more distance. Off to the side of the road, because the big, look at that, catch as I call it, is coming along. There you go. The caravan parking. Nundrew. And the motel facilities. Dad's just stopped for a comfort break here. Quite a pleasant little spot.
Something like about 5 o'clock in the morning. It was dark.
Penong.
The sun was just starting to come up, and that silo looked like a big Coke bottle just sitting there.
My 8th time in lovely Penong. The very first map ever bought at the Nullarbor was this. It was a photo of this corner on the cover. Penong, South Australia, it said. So when I got here in the Datsun 180B 25 years ago, next month, I always looked out for this piece of road. Anyway, little things you remember, eh? Lovely Ceduna. was just telling the old
They give
man.
you chamfer tubes on the roundabouts for your caravans and things.
Yeah, you're right. It's like Monaco in the old days. I've never stayed here overnight. Been here many times, but never stayed overnight. But the old man has, so he's in charge. Hello, puppy dog. He's very polite. He won't come in.
No,
But he's stopped wagging his tail because he knows we're not going to give him food.
Yeah.
See you, Mr. Dog. 20k southwest of Ceduna is Mackenzie's Ruins. Mackenzie came out here in 1889 and this is what's left of his dwelling and his property. Mackenzie was the first settler in Denial Bay, which is only a couple of k's away. There was a snake on the road, so we decided we'd drive around over here rather than walk through there. Sure, good old Mackenzie came across a few in his time. Good on you, Macca. Oh, no, he's dead. He got run over. Still good reason not to bloody get out of the car around here, I'm here to tell you. Alright, on to Denial Bay. Be a cracking spot in the summertime.
Beaches everywhere once upon a time.
Now we've come back round the other side of Ceduna. Way over there was Denial Bay. Monday, September 21. We're here to get the shocks replaced. This is Jamie, who's the guru.
Jackie.
He's actually the tyre guy, but he's one of these blokes and can put the...
Been around for a while.
Yeah, exactly. When you're working next to the air highway, you got to improvise, adapt and overcome a fair bit, I would have thought. Job done. Jamie was absolutely brilliant. Couldn't do enough for me. He was a fantastic bloke. He was actually the tyre guy. Anyway, I bought the shockies from the Auto Pro just down the road, and he put them in there for me at the Toyota Service Centre. Back into Penong, South Australia. This time I'm going to take a turn around the town. Always just driven straight through the middle. Oh, looks like a wee old XC in there actually. XC Fairmont with the square headlights. There he goes. He's got no idea that I'm here. He still hasn't. Nundrew 79, that's the next one. I don't think he realises. Oh, I'm going to get into that region of calmer air and save some fuel.
Yeah, I see you snuck in behind me.
You didn't even notice.
No, I saw you coming up behind me. I thought, oh, he's been a bit sneaky here. Yeah, have a look around, did you?
Yeah, I pulled enough of a lead that I could get in and out of the pits without losing too much time. Just juiced up here in Nundrew. Nice French guy behind the counter there. He's leaving next week, and Aboriginal blokes just informed me that the front wheels are splayed, and he's right, they are too. God. Poor old girl's had a hammering this trip. Needs a wheel alignment now, we're going to push on. Just trying to decide what we're going to do tonight, or where we're going to get to. Larry is on the old air highway, and look, we're back in the treeless plain. It's taken about 5 k's on this road here to get from the current air highway to the old air highway, which is right here. Now that is 29 kilometres down there to Nullarbor Roadhouse. Back in the day, this was, look how wide it is. This was the main highway. A lot of history along here, a lot of history. I'll explain later. The old HR wagon has been out here a long time. Sometimes they just didn't make it and they got left by the side of the road. And that one is an example. I used a fair bit of this section. It's got really rough the last couple of k's. This must be Ivy Tanks, is it, on the hill here? We'll soon know. There used to be a roadhouse up here. I didn't realise it was coming up so fast. This is Ivy Tanks, Larry. As I say, there used to be a roadhouse here and an overnight stop, restaurant, motel. It's a welcome sight for weary travellers is what it was way back in the day. Welcome to your accommodation for the evening.
Yeah, thank you, sir. I would have imagined you'd have it all up and look by now.
Are we gonna fuel her up here? Go and see about a room. Some of the vehicles that just didn't make it. We'll go and have a look at them shortly. We've got to try and find somewhere to put up tents. I reckon this was the restaurant where I'm standing at the moment. No prizes for guessing. Another car boneyard up here. Just the ground's not very flat. This is the issue we've got. And we'll sort something out, we always do. Tin cans everywhere. Obviously they weren't into their recycling back in the day. Yeah, I'm just going to look at some of these cars. Although no, should get set up and worry about it later.
Yeah, worry about tomorrow morning, man.
Dad's got his drone up again. So Ivy Tank lives again as an accommodation spot. That's a FC Holden 1958-59. These obviously got so far and they weren't going any further on what was a dreadful road. EK Holden. Oh yes, the old, what do they call them? Ford Zephyr. Don't know what that is. Peugeot. Goodness me. 6 cylinders, so that's the problem. If it had been a V8, no, it wouldn't have been the engine that let it down. I wouldn't have thought. But just getting back to those cars for a second, every single one of them would have a hell of a story to tell. Of course, we'll never know, but if you could push a button, wouldn't it be fascinating? I'll go down now and show you what that looks like now. That's the actual Ivy Tank over there on the left. The other road is sort of overgrown, the salt bushes are growing. It's still there, but you can't see it from here, and that's where all those drums were, right here. And there it was, the only artery to Western Australia for 100 years. I just want to read you something about where we're staying tonight here, and where my tent is at the moment is probably sort of the back wall of the old restaurant motel here, whatever you want to call it. Mary Durack, the famed West Australian author from the Kimberley, she wrote Kings in Grass Castles and Sons in the Saddle about the Duracks of the Kimberley. She came through here in 1964, and I quote, she was travelling from west to east, and they'd just been to Nullarbor Roadhouse. Our night's destination, for all the promising name of Ivy Tanks, looks like a desolate spot, but the accommodation is clean if sparse, and the bright little restaurant provides water in a bucket for washing. A cheerful proprietor explains in a broad Yorkshire accent that he employs a driver to cart water and supplies by semi-trailer some 1,100 miles east from Perth and 163 miles west from Ceduna, and that, as a result of increased road traffic, he hopes to be able to retire from business in about 3 years. Not that he has any complaints about the locality. No, it's not lonely, he says. Back in Leeds, I'd be lucky to speak to 6 people a day. Here I meet 20 or 30 in that time. A lot of them interesting people too. You'd be surprised. So that gives you some you know, a bit of an aspect about what, you know, about where we're camped tonight. Look at it now and the way it's been for the last 45 years. As I was explaining before, when they built the new road, when they paved the air highway in 1970, in South Australia they built a whole new section for a few hundred kilometres right down near the coast, whereas they just repaved the West Australian section of the air highway. So this all got there's a few roadhouses, Canalda, Ivy Tanks. They just all suddenly became, you know, surplus to requirements, and they shut down basically straight away. Canalda is still, the building is still there, I believe. I haven't been there, but this one, of course, has been flat with the exception of the chimney. So yeah, it was an important stop back in the day, and the day that the way the road is now is better than what it was back in the day. So yeah, a lot of history here. This book is full of stories like that. Morning one and all, it's Tuesday, September 22, 2015. This is an FX Holden. I was wondering if you're going to see any early Holdens, earlier than FCs I mean. FX, the 48215. Have a look at this. Nullarbor Ripper. I can't make out where that says. Somewhere or bust. Well, obviously it was bust. Now that's an old Holden as well. That's an FX as well. It's a 48215. As I said yesterday, the stories that these vehicles would have surrounding them would be fascinating to know. Woke up to the dingoes howling and a thick fog this morning. That was a couple of hours ago. It's now 9:15. Time to get moving. Yesterday I couldn't pinpoint what this car is, and of course with Larry's help last night, it's the fabulous Hudson Hornet. Herb Thomas won 2 NASCAR championships. And of course it was immortalised in Cars as Paul Newman's character in Cars. Yep. Remnants of the foundations of the old roadhouse here. Hard to imagine these days, isn't it? Back out onto the old air highway. I didn't even look to if there was anything coming to my left. It's bad, very bad. That's how accidents happen. Corrugations aside, this road's as good as any outback road. Not a bad road at all. Been abandoned for 45 years. Huh. And that's the Yatala Aboriginal community. Just over the other side of that hill is the air highway. It's 12:15, so I gather we'll do lunch at some point, but we'll get a bit further away from the community, I would have thought. We do have permits to be here, I will say. The road of great contrasts. Now we're on some dreadful corrugations and rocky outcrops. Sitting on 20 kilometres an hour, if that, 15. We're not very far from the blacktop. If this is what it's like to the end of it, it can't come soon enough. Well, obviously I'm on the blacktop. Larry kept going because I could see a road onto the blacktop here, and he kept going right at the end of the air highway, which is there, the old one. So good on you, Larry. Here at Aldeer is where they joined the railways up from the west and the east. So it's a historic section of the track. It's the main reason the old man wanted to film in here, I'd suggest. We just set up camp. The flies are bad. First night that I've had to bust out the hairnet. And the old man too. The flies are real bad, but a bit of Aerogard and the hairnet, no worries, mate. The sun will go down soon, so once that happens, the flies go away and we can put dinner on. 6:30 on the dot and the flies are gone. The usual fare: corn, peas, carrots, and mum's fantastic beef stew. And there'll be Deb as well as usual. Let's go and have a look at the sunset. Ah, yes. There's a choo-choo train. It's always very exciting when the train goes past, especially when it gives you a bit of a toot. It's Wednesday, September 23, 2015. And we've found the Daisy Bates Memorial. Daisy Bates was a significant pioneer in these, well, you know, colonial pioneer in these parts, and did a lot of good work with regards to the relationships between the settlers and the local Aboriginals. I've just realised what this is the old South Australian gauge here. It was wider than the Western Australian. So when they put the new one in over there 100 years ago, they made it all uniform. But this is a lot wider than what the Trans-Australia line is. It was stupid. I mean, all states had all different gauges. It was absolutely ridiculous. But it was in the days before the Commonwealth was formed, admittedly. But even then, you would have thought they would have got their shit together. There was a lot of petty bureaucracy and corruption back in the day, as there is these days, I suppose. This morning we bump our way to Watson, some 31 kilometres away. It's not a good road here, that's for sure. Our first choo-choo of the day. He didn't give me a beat. We're heading west, if you hadn't guessed by now, because we're on the left-hand side of the train. And then we can head north up to Maralinga. Well, this is where the rail lines from South Australia, well, from the east and the west, should I say, joined up. The memorial it's only made of timber. You'd think they would have put something more substantial than that up, wouldn't you? Anyway, it's fallen over. Obviously the concrete and the rail lines are still there, and there's another one over the other side. This is the exact spot where they met up.
I just wonder whether the South Australians got this slightly wrong when they're building the rail. To the west, the line is dead straight. To the east, about 300 or 400 metres down the line, there's a bend in the rail.
There is too. There is too. Very perceptive, Larry. When we actually saw the train go around the bend, and it made us aware that oh, hang on, that's something we haven't seen for a while. This is over the other side, same situation where they've just fallen over in the weather over the years. They had a ceremony here. It was all very exciting back in the day. I do have a book about it. There you go, that's what it used to look like, the memorials here. Why the hell they made it out of wood is anybody's guess, and that's the laying of the last rail. This is where they used to unload all the gear for Maralinga, which is just up to the north there. We'll be going there this afternoon. I think that was the location of the town site behind it. That road there that leads up to the railway, I've got a bit of a shock. I just come around the corner and it's sealed. Sealed a long time ago, admittedly, but it's sealed. There you go, so this is all a town here once upon a time. This old road is the road from Watson to Maralinga, and that is why it's sealed. No great surprises there. The road to Maralinga. Winds its way through the sandhills here. An old telegraph line is on the left hand side. It's going to be interesting as to what we find up here. I've read so much about it, heard so much about it, and of equal interest will be as to how it's run these days. Yeah, it's going to learn a lot in the next 24 to 28 hours, that is for sure. Lovely red sandhills. As Larry was just pointing out, they would have brought the warhead through on this road. Sobering thought. But we still haven't, on the off the beaten track, so something other than the air highway, since Kalgoorlie we've not seen another traveller. Remarkable.